Shivaji is a cameraman at a TV station in India. He comes from a simple, lower-middle-class family and he lives with his parents. His father works as a caricature artist and has one big dream for his son. He wants Shivaji to grow into a politician someday, not just stay behind a camera. But Shivaji wants nothing to do with politics. To him, politics is dirty, pointless, and not worth his time. His mother, on the other hand, is genuinely proud. Seeing her son's name on TV as part of a well-known news crew feels like a huge win for their family. At work, Shivaji has a close teammate named Topi, his assistant cameraman. The two of them usually work alongside Urmila, a female reporter who handles the on-camera side of their coverage. Together, they are assigned to follow major national events, and one day they get sent to cover a visit by the country's prime minister, Balraj Chauhan. Balraj is the kind of leader people complain about constantly. Under his rule, the bureaucracy is messy, slow, and filled with corruption. Many believe corruption has infected almost every part of the government, and Balraj himself is suspected of being involved. At his side is his secretary Bansal, a man who often goes along with Balraj's demands even when it clearly clashes with his own conscience. From the moment Balraj appears in public, it is obvious he sees himself above everyone else. During a crowded greeting, someone pushes forward just to shake his hand. In the chaos, the person's nail accidentally scratches Balraj's hand. Balraj waits until he is safely inside his car, then has that person come closer to the window. It looks like he is about to forgive them. Instead, he violently breaks the person's hand, purely to make a point. Not long after, Balraj arrives at another village where Shivaji and his team are already set up to report. Balraj walks through the area with the director of the local power department to inspect a streetlight project. The director confidently claims the streetlights were installed a year ago. But in the middle of the crowd, a woman named Manjari speaks up and calls it a lie. She says the streetlights were only put up yesterday, right before Balraj's visit. And worse, the village still does not even have electricity running through it. The villagers' complaints grow louder, and Balraj publicly orders the director to immediately supply electricity to the area. On the surface, it sounds like leadership, but behind the scenes, the truth is uglier. Balraj quietly tells his minister to cut the electricity again in 2 days. He has already made a deal with a contractor, one that included 4 million rupees, connected to his recent campaign. Watching Manjari speak with that kind of courage hits Shivaji hard, and he falls for her almost instantly. Then another incident erupts, this time in the city. A group of students are waiting for public transportation, but the bus refuses to stop for them. They chase it down to a red light, and when they finally climb aboard, an argument breaks out between one student and the driver. It escalates fast. The driver shoves the student, and the student crashes to the ground, suffering a head injury. That moment sparks chaos. The students explode in anger, and a full clash breaks out between them and the bus drivers. By coincidence, Shivaji and Topi are nearby, and they immediately begin filming. Within minutes, the fight attracts a crowd, traffic locks up into a massive gridlock, and the situation spirals out of control. Even the police commissioner who arrives on scene cannot calm things down. Desperate, the commissioner contacts Prime Minister Balraj to request permission to take action and make arrests. But Balraj does not want solutions. He orders the police to stand down. His reason is purely political. The transportation company belongs to someone in his party, and the students are also part of his voting base. If either side feels targeted, Balraj fears it could cost him support when elections come around. So instead of stopping violence, he chooses to protect his image and his votes. Fortunately, Shivaji manages to capture nearly every crucial moment of the chaos. His footage shows how the bus drivers provoke others to join a strike, and it even records the private conversation between the police commissioner and Balraj, where Balraj clearly chooses to let the violence continue. Bansal actually tries to advise Balraj to intervene, but his words are ignored. Balraj believes that if everyone keeps fighting and looting long enough, exhaustion will eventually end it on its own. Amid the destruction, Shivaji notices a badly injured student lying on the road. Without hesitation, he lifts the young man and rushes him to the nearest hospital. The student, named Kumar, survives. Shivaji's quick action turns into a powerful news story. While the city is burning with anger, one act of humanity stands out, showing that kindness still exists even in the middle of chaos. This single moment would change everything. This is Nayak, the real hero. The story spreads across the country. When Manjari sees the report, her feelings towards Shivaji grow stronger. At the same time, Shivaji's career takes a major step forward. His boss at the TV station promotes him from cameraman to senior news reporter, recognizing both his courage and his integrity. On another day, driven by his feelings for Manjari, Shivaji returns to her village to get to know her better. As time passes, their bond grows closer, and Shivaji finally decides to propose. His hopes are crushed when Manjari's parents firmly reject him. They only want their daughter to marry a government employee, not a journalist. Back at the station, Shivaji receives unexpected news. The editor-in-chief calls him in and tells him he has been chosen to host a special live program, an exclusive interview with Prime Minister Balraj. Shivaji is stunned. He has never conducted an interview before, let alone one with the country's leader. Still, the trust has been placed in him, and there is no turning back. Shivaji prepares intensely, even practicing on his own, until the day finally arrives. Balraj appears in the TV studio, and Shivaji begins the program with confidence. He opens by questioning the campaign promises made during the last election, promises that many people feel were never fulfilled. Balraj responds by painting a picture of prosperity, claiming that families now own televisions, villages have electricity and clean water, people wear good shoes, drive nice vehicles, and enjoy comfortable lives, even eating at places like fast food restaurants. According to him, these are clear signs that living standards have improved under his leadership. Shivaji pushes back without hesitation. He points out that many farmers cannot even afford 2 meals a day, let alone luxuries. Laborers still walk long distances under the scorching sun. Wealth continues to pile up at the top, while the poor sink deeper into hardship. Children begging at traffic lights have become a common sight. Balraj counters by stating that national income has risen by 64% during his time in office. Shivaji responds by highlighting that crime rates have risen alongside it. Throughout the interview, every claim made by Balraj is met with facts drawn directly from real conditions on the ground. When Shivaji presses Balraj for an explanation about rural incomes that barely reach 3 rupees a day, Balraj strongly denies it and challenges him to present real evidence instead of making accusations. What happens next catches everyone off guard. Shivaji calmly produces verified reports gathered from multiple sources. He explains that loans provided by the World Bank under Balraj's administration never reached the people. The money was drained by ministers instead, which ultimately led the World Bank to refuse further loans to India. It is hardly surprising, especially when the country is still considered one of the most impoverished in the world. Balraj tries to shift the blame by claiming that the World Bank has placed an embargo on the region. When Shivaji asks why that embargo exists, Balraj dismisses the question, saying he does not need to explain it to Shivaji. He insists he will only explain it to the public. Shivaji then points out that the public is already watching, and that Balraj has the perfect chance to explain everything live on television. Balraj avoids the moment again, saying the issue is too complex to explain. Shivaji refuses to stop there. He moves on to Balraj's background, asking about his life before becoming prime minister. Balraj claims he comes from a farming family. Shivaji then raises a sharp contradiction. With a prime minister's salary of only 18,000 rupees a month, how did Balraj manage to own properties worth 5 billion rupees? The question clearly shakes him. Balraj responds by telling Shivaji to take the matter to court if he wants answers. The confrontation escalates when Shivaji exposes Balraj in front of the entire nation. He plays footage from the recent clash between bus drivers and students. In the recording, a bus driver openly claims they are untouchable because they work for a transportation company owned by the ruling party. Shivaji then reveals another recording, one that captures Balraj instructing the police commissioner to let the violence continue. That single decision led to billions worth of property destroyed and left many people injured or dead. Furious, Balraj dismisses everything as baseless accusations meant to boost television ratings. He demands that the cameras be shut off. One of the council members even becomes aggressive and orders the crew to stop broadcasting. What they fail to realize is that all of this is still going out live. The entire country is watching. Bansal finally steps in and reminds Balraj that the broadcast has not been cut. As Balraj tries to leave the studio, Shivaji stops him again and demands clear explanations before he walks away. Balraj denies that the voice in the recording is his and claims he is the victim of slander. He even accuses Shivaji of being paid by the opposition to attack him on live television. Overwhelmed with anger, Balraj throws out a challenge. He dares Shivaji to become prime minister for one day, so he can experience how difficult it really is to run a government. For the first time, Shivaji looks shaken by the pressure. After a tense moment, he accepts the challenge. He agrees to take on the role of prime minister for a single day. The decision sparks loud reactions from the studio and from people watching across the country. An irritated Balraj storms out of the broadcast. Before he leaves, Bansal quietly acknowledges Shivaji's courage. The next day arrives and Balraj formally submits his resignation. Along with it comes a document signed by every member of parliament, making Shivaji the legitimate prime minister for exactly one day. After that, the position is meant to return to Balraj. Shivaji refuses to waste a single minute. He turns down all interviews for the day, saying he will speak to the media only after the job is done. His focus is clear. He is there to work. His first move is to immediately summon the heads of administrative departments. Without small talk, Shivaji lays out 3 core reasons he believes the country has fallen into poverty. Officials fail to do their jobs honestly. They block others from working honestly, and they abuse their power. He then orders every department to collect public complaints against officials known for corruption, bribery, and blind loyalty. All names must be delivered to his desk within 1 hour. When Bansal asks why these names are needed, Shivaji makes it clear they are all going to be fired. Right after the meeting, Shivaji heads straight to the slum areas. He refuses to accept that people in his country are forced to live in unlivable conditions. In his view, the government exists to ensure every citizen has access to proper housing. There, he uncovers a massive housing scam. A developer has siphoned off funds meant for the poor and distributed them to government officials instead. Out of 2,000 housing units, only 20 ever reached families in need. Shivaji dismisses the developer on the spot. The termination letter is typed and signed immediately. Illegal occupants are ordered to vacate homes that were originally intended for low-income families. From there, Shivaji carries out a surprise inspection at a traditional market and catches a vendor cheating customers. Without hesitation, he revokes the vendor's business license right on the spot. He also instructs Bansal to identify major business figures who have been avoiding their sales taxes. Once business owners see these actions on television, they rush to pay their taxes, afraid their licenses will be revoked next. Through the media, Shivaji opens a public complaint hotline for 1 hour, promising to personally handle every case. It does not take long for the first call to come in, reporting slow and negligent treatment by a doctor at a local hospital. Shivaji requests an immediate explanation and learns that the doctor, who should be on duty at the hospital, has been prioritizing his private clinic instead. Without delay, Shivaji sends out a dismissal order and asks Bansal to arrange a replacement doctor. Meanwhile, Balraj and his ministers watch Shivaji's actions together. They mock his decisions, convinced he will never truly solve the country's problems. Another complaint soon arrives, this time about police officers who have ignored a vehicle theft report for over a month. Shivaji contacts the police station directly. After reviewing the facts and the officer's conduct, he determines that the responsible policeman lacks integrity as a public servant. The dismissal order is sent immediately. The next complaint comes from a female student who reports daily harassment by a group of thugs on her campus, while the police have done nothing. Recognizing the seriousness of the situation, Shivaji personally visits the campus. He finds several students injured from repeated attacks. It becomes clear that the police were afraid to act because the gang leader is known to be violent and connected to powerful figures. Shivaji removes both officers from their positions. Shivaji moves straight to the residence of the gang leader, Ranga. He takes on the thugs there and successfully has them all arrested and handed over to the police. Once that is done, Shivaji returns to his office where Bansal reports that around $2.5 billion has been collected from sales taxes. Shivaji immediately orders that the entire amount be allocated for public welfare. Back in his office, Shivaji finds the stack of public complaint files he requested earlier that morning. The pile covers his desk. Without hesitation, he instructs Bansal to dismiss 45,000 officials whose names appear in those reports. Before his one-day term ends, Shivaji heads to the Prime Minister's residence and secures the arrest of 12 ministers on corruption charges. He is not finished yet. Just 5 minutes before his authority expires, Shivaji orders the police to arrest the root of the country's problems, Prime Minister Balraj himself. With that final acta, Shivaji's single day as Prime Minister comes to an end. In just one day, Shivaji manages to resolve issues that Balraj failed to address throughout his entire time in power. But the agreement stands. Once the day is over, Balraj is set to reclaim his position. Humiliated and furious over what Shivaji has done to his reputation and political career, Balraj begins plotting his revenge. On his way home, Shivaji is ambushed by hired thugs. A brutal fight breaks out, one that nearly cost him his life. He narrowly escapes, managing to get away moments before he is almost burned alive. As he tries to clean himself up afterward, a small shopkeeper recognizes him. Overjoyed at seeing the one-day Prime Minister in person, the man calls others over. Soon, people gather around Shivaji, welcoming him warmly and washing him with milk, treating him almost like a holy figure. When Shivaji finally reaches home, thousands of people greet him like a hero. The next day, Shivaji sets out to meet Manjari. Along the way, he encounters a group of farmers who offer him a portion of their harvest as a gesture of gratitude. Thanks to Shivaji's actions, they no longer have to deal with middlemen who used to squeeze their profits. Now, they can sell their produce directly to the government at fair prices. Meanwhile, the impact of Shivaji's one-day leadership causes Balraj's popularity to collapse. Grassroots groups and ordinary citizens openly urge Shivaji to run in the upcoming election. Shivaji simply laughs it off and chooses to focus on studying for the civil service exam so he can propose to Manjari. Bansal later approaches Shivaji and offers to stand by his side if he ever decides to enter politics. Shivaji turns him down, saying he only wants a normal life and has never been interested in politics. Bansal cannot understand how someone who shook the entire nation in a single day would rather prepare for a government job. Shivaji explains that he only did his job well for one day, and that it does not mean he could do it every day. Bansal, however, urges him to listen to the hopes of the people. As they are talking, chaos erupts. The news station where Shivaji works is destroyed by men sent by Balraj, furious over what Shivaji did. The building is left in ruins, and Shivaji is beaten unconscious. At the same time, back at his family home, his parents complain that their water and phone lines have suddenly been cut off, even though their neighbors are unaffected. The harassment does not stop there. A government official arrives with a demolition notice, claiming Shivaji's house violates regulations. It is clear that this is nothing more than Balraj's revenge. After receiving treatment for his injuries, Shivaji returns home and is met with a heartbreaking sight. His parents are crying beneath the ruins of what used to be their house. Seeing this, Shivaji asks his father to take his mother inside. He is filled with anger and plans to report Prime Minister Balraj to the police and take the case to court. Bansal steps in and stops him, explaining that the complaint would only disappear into a pile of reports that would never be resolved. According to him, the only real way to end this chaos is for Shivaji to run against Balraj in the next election. Staying true to his ideals, Shivaji refuses. He still does not want to enter politics. Hearing this, Bansal decides to walk away, disappointed but understanding that Shivaji must make his own choice. The next morning, Shivaji wakes up to an unexpected scene. Bansal has returned, this time accompanied by dozens of reporters and thousands of ordinary people who have come to support Shivaji's candidacy. Party leaders are also present, hoping to pull him into their political coalitions. One by one, they try to win him over with cash offers, but Shivaji rejects them all. Manjari arrives as well, along with her father, after hearing about the attack on Shivaji. Her father warns him to stay away from politics, describing it as quicksand that no one can escape once they step into it. Shivaji's parents echo the same concern, urging him to leave politics behind and marry Manjari as soon as possible. Bansal then takes Shivaji with him so he can see with his own eyes how much hope is waiting outside. People have gathered without being asked or paid, all longing for a leader they can believe in, someone who respects the law and brings real welfare to society. In that moment, Shivaji realizes that to them he represents hope and the possibility of a better future. Bansal reminds him that politics is indeed dirty, but it will remain dirty until someone is willing to clean it. He questions the point of becoming a civil servant if one only ends up complaining about corrupt politics later. Even a young teenager has been waiting since early morning just to see Shivaji. At last, with full conviction, Shivaji decides to run for prime minister. The crowd erupts in support. That decision costs him his relationship with Manjari, whose father refuses to accept his choice. Shivaji also turns down the offers from established politicians and instead forms his own party as a condition to enter the election. When the election finally takes place, Shivaji wins by a majority vote, defeating Balraj and becoming the new prime minister. In office, he calls on all his ministers to work the same way he did during his single day in power, punishing wrongdoing and acting fairly toward the people. He immediately presents his programs to the public, encouraging citizens to submit complaints without fear. He promises that every issue will be resolved within a maximum of 1 week. Shivaji even goes undercover to personally catch those who cheat and abuse power in the field. But leadership does not come without trials. Unable to accept his defeat, Balraj launches repeated efforts to undermine the new prime minister. Shivaji becomes the target of multiple assassination attempts, yet every one of them fails. One night, while resting at his parents' house, Shivaji receives a call from Bansal. With no signal inside, he steps outside to take it. That is when the warning comes through. Intelligence reports say there is a bomb planted at his parents' home. Moments later, the bomb explodes while his parents are still inside. Overcome with rage, Shivaji goes straight to Balraj's house the next morning. He confronts him and vows that Balraj will soon face justice. Feeling threatened, Balraj responds by ordering his network to spread terror through a series of bombings across different areas. Shivaji reacts quickly. He mobilizes every available resource and deploys bomb disposal teams at full speed. Thanks to the swift response, every explosive is defused and no lives are lost. When questioned, Balraj plays his final card. He claims the entire situation is nothing more than a setup created by Shivaji himself. He argues that since no bombs actually detonated, it proves the threat was fake. According to him, Shivaji is simply trying to weaken the powerful three-party opposition coalition. At that moment, Shivaji realizes that normal methods will never be enough to bring Balraj down. Not long after, Shivaji summons Balraj to the palace. What happens next shocks everyone. Shivaji shoots himself, then places the weapon in Balraj's hands. Security forces immediately intervene, and Balraj is subdued and dies in the chaos that follows. Shivaji is left burdened with guilt over what he has done. Bansal stands by him, believing that this extreme act was necessary to cleanse politics of its deepest corruption. While Shivaji recovers from his injuries, Manjari arrives with her father. At last, her father gives his blessing, admitting that his opposition was driven by selfish fear rather than reason. From that point on, Shivaji leads his government with fairness and resolve. Under his leadership, India moves forward, entering a period of rapid progress and renewed hope. So the moral of the story is never argue on live TV if you just want a normal life, because you might fix a country by accident and ruin your sleep forever.